Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with some fantasy romance recommendations. I am so excited for this video because I didn't realize my other fantasy romance recommendations video I did almost a year ago is still consistently getting a lot of views, and I feel like that one was a lot more young adult heavy, and I wanted to recommend some more adult romance fantasy romances, so I have quite the stack here and I'm excited to get to them. The first one I finished this week and I really enjoyed it, and that is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. This one is really interesting because I don't think it had a lot of like fantasy elements, like magical elements. It was more the fact that there were all these kingdoms and they're warring and you had to have alliances, and so I don't know if it needs magic to count as fantasy, but in this one our heroine has been training since I think birth with all of her sisters to be a spy to infiltrate the rival kingdom because they've been promised a wife from their kingdom to the leader of the other kingdom who owns the bridge, and so she ends up being the one chosen to marry this guy. And so from the start it's like her goal to take him down and kill him, but she starts learning things, she starts falling for him, and I will say this is a very slow burn romance. I was on the live show with the romance booktubers like Read With Us, and I was like, there's been no even a kiss. There was like a little bit in the beginning. There's like one moment where he thinks he's sleeping, and then literally nothing for like 200 pages. It's just like growing tension, and you know they like each other, but obviously they don't want to because they're rivals, and they are married from the beginning though. So I really love this. We have marriage of convenience, and there's definitely a cliffhanger at the end. I already have book 2 that I really want to get to, so I cannot wait to read more, but this is definitely a really great fantasy romance that I would recommend to fantasy romance lovers. Just know it's a slow burn, but there's a lot of like political intrigue and about like connections with people and like this bridge that he's in control of that all these other people want. So it's great. The next one I have is one I listened to on audio that I'd never heard of before, but on Goodreads I saw that Avery from Avery Loves Books has read it, and that is Entreat Me by Grace Draven. I read Radiance and I didn't love it. I feel like it was way too slow for me. It is a friends to lovers romance and it's definitely slow, and it was too slow for me, but I read this one. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it is very unique in the fact that it is a father and a son, and they're both cursed, and the like vines and roses come alive, and it's like in these cycles where it like hits them and they are basically like a beast and they want to kill everybody around them. And so our heroine's sister is in love with the hero's son, and that really draws them together because her father I think is like in debt to someone, and to pay it off the sister's like, I am in love with someone and he's pretty rich, so like he'll help us out. So they go to their kingdom and she goes with her sister there, and she ends up falling in love with the dad, and she's actually a widow, so she's already lost someone, her husband already. I think he died from an illness, and it was really great. Like they ended up falling for each other like physically first, like they had a really great chemistry and they got together like that first and then started falling for each other, but there's a lot of complexity to the curse. There was a lot more to it, and a really complexity around the father-son relationship as well, and like why they're cursed. It was really good. I listened to the audiobook and I would definitely recommend this one. Next I have 2 from the same author, and it's pretty well known, and I read the first book in the One series a long time ago, and I know a lot of people aren't loving it, but I really loved it, and that is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. This one is the Bargainer series. I've only read the first book and it's really good. Our heroine has grown up making these bargains with this guy, and she has like hundreds now, and he has come back to like collect, and it's their romance, and he really did remind me of Reese. I don't want to connect this like too much to A Court of Thorns and Roses series, but he is definitely like the brooding hero with secrets, and I think he's in charge of like his own people. I don't even know how to describe that. I have a hard time talking about like the world in fantasy books, but and like the terminology and how to talk about that, but this one is really great. I definitely want to reread this so that I can continue on the series. I remember there being like a villain that they're trying to fight and like understand some secrets, but this was really good. I really like this one. And then I really loved Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. This is really more post-apocalyptic, and our heroine is taken as a live prisoner of Pestilence. He's one of the 4 horsemen. They've come to like destroy the earth, so he's coming around killing everybody, and then she tries to kill him. She like drew the short straw, so she stayed behind to try to kill him. They're immortal, so they can't die, but then he ends up taking her as his prisoner, and they fall in love. I have not finished War yet. I know I'm like really awful because book 3 is already out. I think I own all 3. Yeah, I own War and Famine as well, and I haven't gotten through War yet because I was reading the ebook at the gym and then I stopped And then I stopped going to the gym because COVID, so I've only been working out at home, but I listen to audiobooks now when I work out, so I never got around to finishing it. But I will finish War soon. I was really enjoying that. So they fall in love with the guys who are trying to end the world, and it's great. Another one I know that a lot of people have been reading, but I think more people need to, is A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Milla Vane. This one is pretty chunky, and I haven't read book 2 yet, but this one starts off really good. This is our hero wants to get back at the kingdom that like killed his parents, and to get back at the guy in charge of that, he decides to kidnap his daughter. His daughter hates her dad. So it's like, okay, like, you're not going to solve anything by kidnapping me, and they like kind of team up together and fall for each other, and it's really good. This is another one that I'd really like to reread because I forget a lot that happened in here. I do remember some things, like some scenes are really vivid in my mind, but like the overall plot, it's been a while since I've read this, but I flew through this, and I've read so much since then that I'm just like, I need to reread this to refresh my mind. But it was really good. There's a lot of action in here, and I remember the romance being great, so I would definitely recommend this if you like action fantasy romances. The next one I have is Fire in His Blood by Ruby Dixon. Now, I don't know how to differentiate fantasy from paranormal because this one's dragon shifters, and like it's dragons, so are they fantasy? But they're shifters, so isn't that more paranormal? But it's post-apocalyptic, and the dragons have pretty much gone like crazy, and they just like kill everybody, and our heroine is set out as a sacrifice to like draw in the dragons because they like apparently like human women, and she ends up being kidnapped by the dragon, and it turns out he is a shifter, so he can shift into male form, so it's not like a dragon romance, it's a dragon shifter romance, and she ends up learning more about him and like what was driving his kind insane, why they're on Earth, stuff like that. And so I really like this. I love Ruby Dixon so much, and I really love the series from her. The Ice Planet Barbarian series will always and forever be my favorite, but I've read the first 3 in this series, and I really enjoyed them. Then another that's like kind of paranormal, kind of fantasy is Angel's Blood by Nalini Singh. This one I chose over Slave to Sensation because I feel like that's much more paranormal because it's got like shifters and like mind stuff. I don't know how to describe that world. I read the first one and I really liked it, but I read this one and I really liked it as well. So she is a vampire hunter, and it's an interesting world because again we have vampires, so isn't that paranormal? But he's an angel, and apparently angels change people to become vampires, but then they like have to work for the angels, and so he, I think, asks her to hunt down someone who is supposed to be working for him that he changed, that kind of like ran away, and so she then works for him. And they end up falling for each other. I was like in a huge angel mood when I read Crescent City, which I'm not going to recommend in this video because I recommend it in the last one, but this is really a great one too. I love angel romances. I need to read a lot more of them. I did read Angel Fall, which was okay, but let me know if you have any like really good angel romances because I haven't really found a lot lately, and I was in a huge angel mood last year when I read this because they're so good, and I need more. But this one was really great. I really want to continue on the series. I've only read book 1. I only read book 1 in a lot of series and never continue on because I have so much to read, but I definitely want to read more. And the last recommendation I have is From Blood and Nash by Jennifer Armentrout. This one is the beginning of a really amazing series, and I was lucky enough to get an early copy of book 3, which I'm dying for. I'm not that far, and I just started this morning, but this is a really great fantasy series that a lot of people have been reading, and if you haven't and you're new to fantasy, I would definitely recommend this. Our heroine, Poppy, she is a maiden, and so this has happened, so much has happened since this first book, since I read book 2, but she is not allowed to like talk to people, no one's allowed to touch her or see her. She wears a veil all the time, and she's waiting like the Ascension, which is like doesn't know what that means, and there's like vampire things in here, and Hawk is the new guard for her, and she actually had a little night with Hawk because she snuck out to a tavern, kind of had an intimate moment with this guy, and then learned later that it was actually her new guard. So it is like bodyguard romance too, which I absolutely love. Tons of action in here. Poppy has trained pretty much her whole life to fight, which she can hold her own in a fight, which I absolutely love, which was the same in Bridge Kingdom. She was a really strong fighter, and I really love that about her. She was like super skilled. She was pretty much a trained assassin basically, and I love that about this book. But Poppy is a really great fighter as well, and I really love that. The romance in here is absolutely fantastic, pretty spicy in here too, and it's great. Book 2 is not my favorite. I will say book 2 really felt like a bridge book, like not a lot happened, and it was to connect to what's going to happen in book 3. Like I thought book 3 was going to be what was in book 2, and it was not. It was the bridge to book 3. So I love this though. I could not recommend this enough. We also have werewolves in here as well, and a lot of secrecy. So this one will definitely keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. It did for me at least, and I know a lot of people read it and are disappointed, but I absolutely loved it. I love this world. I think it's definitely worth the hype, so I'm dying that I have book 3 and I cannot wait to read more. I would want to savor it, but at the same time I'm like, I'm gonna fly through this. So this one's super chunky too. It is over 600 pages. It is 645 pages for this one, and I feel like book 1 was only like 500 something. Oh, this was 610. This is only 30 more pages than this, and I feel like it just looks a lot bigger, but I'm really loving this so far. We just jump right into the action. So I love this. I can't rave about it enough. And so those are some fantasy romances that I think you should check out. Let me know down below if you have any other fantasy romance recommendations for me. Definitely some adult ones. I need more recommendations, please. So please leave them down below. I would love to read more. Let me know. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day.